Surviving the Survivor. We bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime on trending criminal cases. And we're talking about the murder of FSU law professor Dan Markel. The story is more than 10 years in the making. And as we move forward, it seems to get crazier and crazier. His ex-mother-in-law, Donna Adelson, was supposed to go on trial beginning last week. It has been pushed to August, and now we're getting word on some disturbing new jail logs where Donna Adelson, this is not for the faint of heart, is apparently lounging naked in her cell and laughing periodically, so I guess it can't be too bad. And also, they filed some motions to suppress some evidence, otherwise known as motions in limine, which we're going to get to with our best guests. And here they are in the flesh. R. Timothy Jansen, the letter R and O-U-R, the famed Tallahassee criminal defense attorney and a former federal prosecutor. You've got Professor Emerita, University of Nebraska law professor Joe Patudo, who is always teaching all of us, and perhaps one of my all-time favorites, Pretty in Pink. I'm about to get canceled. Monica Jordan, there she is. Monica Jordan, private investigations, and she is one of the leading private investigators in all the land, and she does not mess around. So if you're on trial for something bad like murder, you want Tim and Monica on your side. Monica, you have a beautiful halo coming in. Is that the sunlight back there?
That is. It's a window behind me, and I see that. It's like a little aura.
That is gorgeous. The gorgeous Tallahassee sun that Donna would hate because it's in Tallahassee. But I happen to look at this. Vesper Martini says Monica is back. However, I got to say it is a somber day, a morose day here at Surviving the Survivor. Steve Cohen, our booking producer extraordinaire, and so much more, who's helped develop this whole show. His mom, Frida Cohen, passed away on Sunday, so we sent him some stuff on behalf of all of STS Nation, and the COE has some pictures of his mom that we will put up. She had been sick for quite some time in her early 90s and finally succumbed to her illness, but she, by all accounts, is a wonderful woman. I know Steve's dad, and so my thoughts go out to Steve's dad, Steve, and his sisters. I don't know if you know this, but Steve Cohen has a twin sister, but his family is tight, and they're helping him through it. And then quick shout out to Susan Harmon, a.k.a. True Lifestyles, for giving us some support with these prison logs, which we're going to get to, detailing some of Donna's nuttiness. But you know what? Thank you, Linda, to Steve Cohen. Monica Jordan, a lot of times when news breaks, I reach out to you in a panic because you usually calm me down. And on Friday, everyone was calling me in a panic. Donna's been moved. Did Donna die? What happened to Donna? She's not in custody anymore. And turns out she was moved to Wakulla, which, Monica, I'm sure you've been to many times. Yes. Before we get going with the rest of the stuff, I just wanted to get your take on your thoughts on her moving over a county. What do you make of this?
Well, her legal team's probably thrilled. It's probably easier for them to access her there. And I'll try and lean over so the glare's not there. It's easier for them to access her there, and it'll give them constant opportunity to be in contact with her. And plus, from the jail's perspective, and you know, obviously I'm not a spokesperson for the Leon County Detention Center, but why wouldn't they want to get rid of a high profile inmate? I mean, that's one less problem they have. You know, the media is always calling about her. There's always some kind of inquiry that's going on. And so I don't know who LEM is, but she's great.
I think so too.
but so like from those two perspectives, from the defense's perspective and from the detention center's perspective, they're both like, hallelujah, this is great. Let's get her into maybe a more friendly facility, and we don't have this high profile inmate on our hands.
By the way, Donna's finding out jail isn't as luxurious as her life at the Icon in South Beach, which I just drove by the other day. And whoever I was with, I forget who I was with, I said, hey, that is Donna Adelson's old home. For some reason, my camera keeps focusing off of me, so I have to stick my hand in there because we are the Fisher Price of podcasts. Fisher Price. Crazy Mom RN, amazing panel. Yes, it is. Okay, so Tim Jansen, I'm going to start with you here. A couple of motions in limine, which came last week. We just hadn't gotten around to it yet, but essentially two people are named in these motions in limine. The first is Sara Yousef. She went to law school with Wendi Adelson at the University of Miami, and she was from out of town, but when she was here going to school, I guess she would periodically be invited over to the Adelsons for things like Thanksgiving dinner. And they had a friendship that lasted well over a decade. But she says that she learned about Wendy's contentious divorce from Dan Markel through a bunch of emails that included motions that were actually filed by Dan himself. And that's how she kind of got word of it. But she then overhears Donna at a 2014 dinner. This is shortly after Dan is killed. She overhears a conversation while at dinner with Donna and Harvey, and I guess maybe even Charlie. I'm not sure exactly who was there, presumably Wendi. Sara claims she overheard Donna Adelson say, and I quote here, "They're talking about him like he was a beloved professor, but you know something? He was a jerk." And so fast forward, you see it right there, paragraph 12. He was a jerk. This is from a Sara Yousef deposition. And she said, essentially, Tim, after hearing Phil Markel's victim impact statement after Charlie's trial, she decided that she was going to reached out to the Markel's attorney, who in return put her in touch with Georgia Kappelman. What do you make of this, Tim Jansen?
Well, I think paragraph 12 is the only thing that's relevant in her testimony that the state could argue would show Donna's state of mind and motive, her feelings towards Dan even after he was killed. Everything else, I think, is not relevant. I don't think it would be hearsay what Wendi told her. They also, in their motion limine, claim that the best person to give that information will be Wendi herself, and she's going to testify, so it will be cumulative. I think the thing about Donna saying he was a jerk, I think that would give the jury some light how Donna felt about him, her feelings towards him, which would be consistent with the motive and theory by the state. And I think it's consistent with the emails she sent to Wendi. So I think that's relevant. I don't know if anything else is relevant.
Yeah. And Joe Picciuto, to you, the defense basically in this motion limine is arguing that Sara Yousef's opinion is obviously prejudicial. This is what the defense is saying. Do you agree? Because, I mean, this right here is basically almost immediately after his murder. It seems like would have some relevance. Tim thinks it has some relevance. So what do you say as the law professor here?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing that matters here is that she was Wendy's friend and had visited Donna, over holidays and knew her. So for someone who started out as Wendy's friend and supportive, and I assume she's going to say that too because she says it in the full deposition, to come forward and say, I've got some information. She doesn't have to testify to it for the jury to be able to infer that there's more there than just reporting that Donna made some comment about Dan after his death. So I think, it's a circumstantial case, so everything helps. And I think this helps. Yes.
Interesting. Linda Mon, we'll get to this. She wants us to Monica Jordan, can you, since I know you've been at both, can you kind of contrast and compare Leon County with Wakulla County's jail? Obviously, Leon's got to be a lot bigger. I think Tim told us that last time. But any noticeable? Look at this. Welcome back, Monica Jordan. Any noticeable compare and contrast points that you would like to make between the two?
I just want to know if they are talking about they can smell crazy a mile away, if they're referring to me or somebody else.
I thought it was me, but I think it might be Donna.
They're like, Monica Jordan's back. I can smell crazy a mile away.
That's the
They're very
state
different.
attorney.
Yeah, the Leon County Detention Center it probably houses 1,100 or more. That's at max capacity, I would say. It's probably not designed to house that many. It's the detention center for the capital city of Florida. I mean, it's not Miami-Dade, but it's a reasonable sized jail. Wakulla County is a small, it's a little bit like walking into a time warp. So not because, of anything bad. It's just a smaller community. It's an offset jail in the community. So they probably if they house 300 people there, I would be surprised.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I think that, Tim, you were saying 300 or 400, I thought last time. Last
300, I think, would be the max.
Yeah. And by the way, Monica's always got great insight, so I need to ask her about some other things as well. Including, I mean, Monica, one of the things that they are trying over and over now, the defense, is to get Judge Stephen Everett removed from the case. And there was this whole issue where essentially there was allegations being made that by Georgia that maybe the defense was doing some things that were a little unkosher with cell phones and signal apps and things of that nature inside the jail. And then the defense countered by saying, this judge is being basically prejudicial against our client. I don't know how much of that you're read up on, to be honest, since I'm just asking you, but any thoughts on that if you have looked into it?
Well, it's always been my experience that the second you ask a court to recuse themselves, they almost have to. That's been my experience in the past. This is a little bit different to me. So it can cut both ways. If he doesn't recuse himself, it ends up providing Donna another appellate issue down the road if she's convicted. If he does recuse himself, then they get another judge. And be careful what you wish for, because you may get somebody that's maybe a little more leaning one way than you would like. You just don't know who you would get next. They could bring in they could special set it, and you could get a really intense judge that you may not like. So sometimes the judge you have may be better than the one that's coming behind him. It's a little bit like a jury panel. You may not like this 12, but the next 14 could be worse.
Yeah. And let me ask you this, because I asked Joe and Tim this, but what's going on? And by the way, we were going to have a judge on tonight, Judge Jay Blitzman, who teaches at Harvard, but we are he had a scheduling conflict, so we're going to try to get a panel of judges together to discuss some of this. But what do you think, Monica, is going on inside Judge Stephen Everett's mind? As for a second, or I think it was twice already, they've said, hey, we want, maybe 3 times, we want you off of this case. Is that something? I mean, I don't think a judge takes it personally, but does a judge take it personally?
I don't think he takes it personally. I mean, he did a really, really high profile case with Luis Rivera's lawyers when they represented the clerk of court over in Jefferson County. And that was super contentious, and they had lots of hearings about trying to have him recused, and he didn't take the bait and didn't recuse himself there either. I just don't see him recusing himself. If he didn't do it in that case, I just don't see him do it in here unless there's some major blow up. But because the defense team feels like he's been poisoned, it sounds like the stuff that Georgia was uncovering was about the legal team, not about the client. So it's more he could be poisoned about them and not Donna. So either way, if he recuses himself, you get another lawyer. If he doesn't recuse himself, then you may end up with an appellate remedy down the road.
This comment warms my heart. That one did too. Justice for Dan. But here we go. Kelly Wiley. Hey, Joel, I love the lamp in your studio. I recently lost my mother, and she had 2 of them. Always makes me laugh and warms my heart when I watch you. It's funny that you bring up the lamp, because I was going to switch out with a black lampshade just to make it a little more like mysterious. But I laugh myself because when, Carm and I did not start this podcast as a true crime podcast. Carm thought she was going to be Jolene Rogan. And so she thought she could just get up there and talk, and it failed miserably. But when we designed a set for that show, we used a green screen, and I basically searched Eastern European living rooms, and I found exactly what I wanted, which is basically a series of those just picture an Eastern European living room. And Carm hated it and said, this is not what it looked like when I grew up. But needless to say, I guess the lampshade comes from that whole, that whole motif there. Tim Jansen, I digress, and now we'll get hate mail. Georgia Kappelman said, we're not calling Sara Yousef. She's not going to be a witness in this trial. So is this just all a moot point? I mean, are they filing the motion in limine just to CYA because they have to protect themselves, even though Georgia says, hey, we're not going to call her?
Well, they got to make sure they got to file the motion to preserve it and bring it to the court, pretrial motion in limine. Georgia may not call her, but she may call her in rebuttal. So she may not call her as direct witness, but Georgia's pretty clever. Don't underestimate her. She doesn't throw her cards away without, considering every move she needs to make on behalf of the state.
Tim Jansen, right back at you from Edward B. Murphy, a friend of the show. He's in the chat. Who's tracking Homeboy Harvey? Can someone make me a meme with Homeboy Harvey? Survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. I would like to see him all blinged up. By the way, I was invited to a concert last night, and I took my 9-year-old to see Post Malone and Jelly Roll, and I thought I was going to get arrested by Child Protective Services, but it didn't happen. I really thought that could happen. So Tim Jansen, Homeboy Harvey, is someone watching Homeboy Harvey? I presume someone's watching Wendi, but what about Homeboy Harvey?
Well, I'm sure Wendi is in contact with Harvey. My understanding, they've been visiting one another in communications. So I don't know if Harvey needs an assistant. The day Donna, Mustang Sally, thank you. At the airport on the terminal, she made it look like Harvey couldn't make it to the parking lot, and Harvey wanted to go with her. So she certainly thought he couldn't take care of himself, but he hasn't seemed to be gotten arrested. And my understanding, he was going to be at the last trial, and he was in town, and he was going to be at the trial.
Some funny comments. I can tell you he's tracking Harvey, the CVS pharmacy. He has to come in weekly for his Xanax and probably about 97 other prescriptions. So it's probably a great place to spot him. Vesper Martini, who's in Miami and wears that mask when she drives, says Homeboy Harvey's at the local strip club. So, man, imagine if Harvey and Wendi actually watch this podcast. They must be annoyed.
I know Josh does.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I heard.
Hello, Mr. Zellman. How are you? Josh, you have an open platform, just like Dan Rashbaum. You may have heard I've interviewed him.
Yeah, that went well.
Yeah. Josh, maybe after the trial, I'll have you on. Josh seems like a very good guy. So just rounding out a little more on this motion in limine here, and it is it actually doesn't feel like a Monday, thank God. It feels more like maybe like a Wednesday and a Thursday. Sara Yousef in this motion in limine, I guess during the deposition, says, and I quote here, "In most cultures, we don't speak ill about the dead. It conveyed an outsized and inappropriate anger, considering that he," meaning Dan Markel, "would never bother anyone again." And she said she found the comment abnormal, which I would agree with. But again, Donna says at this dinner at their home that they're talking about him like he was a beloved professor, meeting Dan in the aftermath of his death. But you know something, he was a jerk. So, Joe, she follows it up, Sara Yousef does, with with most people don't speak ill about the dead. I don't think Donna is like most people, but again, is this, I mean, this is one woman basically relaying information from a family meal. And while it's got some, I guess, like insight into character flaws, in terms of the law, I assume one of the reasons George is not calling her is there's just not that much weight here.
Yeah, now it is one of the boys' birthday parties, so it wasn't a dinner. It was a birthday party, and I think it was pretty close to the murder. So the context, is it doesn't put Donna in a good light. But no, it is not as strong. It's certainly not, do or die evidence. And there's other evidence that Donna did not like, to say the least, didn't like Dan. There are other comments that she made about him. So this one is not, not critical to anything. But I say again, the thing that makes it more helpful is the fact that it's coming from Wendy's friend of 13 years who knew the family well, who came forward on her own to testify. And that, that I think will have an impact on the jury if she does testify or in the direct case or whether she's brought in to impeach. But it's not a big piece of evidence. What she says about Wendi is more, I think, significant than what she said about Donna.
Joel, the timing is important too, right?
Right.
Because if Donna gets up there and plays this charade again, like Charlie, that he was blackmailed, when did Charlie tell Donna about the blackmail scheme? Was it before or after this comment at this party when she claims he's a jerk? I mean, that could be something that they can intertwine to undercut this whole blackmail story.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. And Monica, I was look at this. You're not the only one, Marco Benavidez. Get in line. I have such a crush on Monica. LOL. She got a long line of those people. But I'll tell you this: her husband carries a firearm that he knows how to use very well. So please.
He runs fast too.
Yeah, proceed with caution. He also has a baseball bat or two, from what I understand. When asked her opinion on the Adelson's guilt, by the way, Sara Yousef says she ended her relationship with Wendi in 2017. Jared Ross, who's on here frequently, he was friends with Wendi. That ended, so I don't think Wendy's got a lot of friends left. But when asked her opinion on the Adelson's guilt, she says, and I quote, "Donna, Charlie, and Wendi were guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and soliciting somebody to kill Dan." I mean, Monica, you can't say it much more clearly than that, but this is just, I guess, in terms of the law, simply an opinion. But is it really just an opinion, Monica?
Yeah. And she doesn't get to say her opinion because she's not an expert witness. So this is just blah, blah, blah. This is no different than if I was at a dinner party and somebody said, "Oh, I know Wendi did it." It's not coming in because she's not an expert witness, so she can't testify to an opinion in Florida court.
And
she's
Monica,
just a lawyer, so big whoop.
Yeah, and she's not a lawyer in this case.
Sorry, Joe. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Notice she didn't apologize to Tim.
Tim knows. Tim knows in Florida, this may not be a popular opinion, but I don't necessarily disagree from a defense standpoint that Jackie would file this, because it's like, it really can't come in anyway. So let's just be safe and make sure it doesn't.
It's one of their better
she's
motions.
not going to testify to, they make the same claim about Stephen Webster, and he testified in the last trial and never said those words.
Right.
I mean, this is an obvious thing that you don't get a witness to say, "I believe that the defendant is guilty." It doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
Yeah. And Monica, just back to Tim's point about, Georgia, but to Tim's comment about like 4D chess, she's saying publicly and on the record that she's not planning to call Sara Yousef. So, what might we see Sara Yousef in this Donna Adelson trial, or is it a definite case of where we will not see her?
Well, I mean, Georgia's strategy can change mid-trial. I mean, we've been in all of us have been in trials where something is said, and the next thing you know, a witness that you never in a million years were going to put on the stand, but was on your witness list. We had to put them on against any strategy we previously had. So I don't think when Georgia says I'm not calling her, that probably is her intention to not call her, to not call that witness. I don't think Georgia is playing games. However, she could probably call her in rebuttal if she needed to, just like Tim said. But, I mean, I don't know what this woman can say. She can say that this is what was said at the birthday party. It still sounds like it's going to come in. It's not hearsay because it's a statement against interest, but it's not inconsistent with anything that Donna has said all along. I hate my son-in-law. He's a real stooge. He's yippers or gibbers or whatever they call,
gibbers. Yeah.
Whatever unappealing thing they say about this guy. The one thing that I look at when I see this statement in this motion is that Donna is consistent. So if she truly was like a part of this conspiracy, that's where it's going, and she's been arrested for, and she's going to be on trial for, she doesn't hold back. She's still like, oh, this guy was an asshole, She's not been inconsistent. So I think that actually it gives Miss Yousef some credibility, but it also shows that Donna wasn't playing down her opinion, even though in light of his demise or soon demise.
Monica Jordan, when you were in 7th grade, do you think your friends thought you would turn into this badass private investigator? What were you tracking to become in 7th to 9th grade? What did you think you would be? Who did you
Juvenile
think
delinquent.
She's in the smoking lounge.
See who had the coolest watch. I don't know. 7th grade.
I still have a cool Swatch watch. By the way, some people are suggesting that Grady and I have a race, and I'm thinking when I'm in Tallahassee, we can raise money for justice for Dan Markel. I will wrap both my hamstrings. I will train for this, and we will do a 100-yard dash.
Okay.
You better
I'll
get
go for
a
a 50.
jetpack.
I think you'd be better off with a 50, Joel.
50? Oh, see, I thought that maybe he'll tire out after the first.
Oh, I see.
50.
No, he's done an Iron Man, so he's.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, that's been a few years ago. But he's pretty athletic.
Of course he is. Iron Man. Of course he is. I will challenge him to a napping contest, and I will crush him.
He's pretty good at that too. You've not cornered the market on that.
I love Catherine outing Monica, saying she was smoking weed in the girls' bathroom.
Probably.
And look at this. Flora Paris says, I'm straight, but I have a crush on Monica too. Now there's a lot of women coming out here. So just to put a
it must be the pink shirt.
I actually wore a color tonight. That must be what it is.
Yeah. By the way, no one is more attractive than my wife. I don't want to get territorial. However, I did happen for the first time in 100 years saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High was on the other night, and I forgot about my unbelievable crush on Phoebe Cates. So shout out to Phoebe Cates. Look at that. I love it. The 1970s. That's a telephone ring, everybody who's under the age of 35. That's what it
That's the ring I like. I tried everything else, and this is the one I like.
It's,
sounds like a real phone.
I love
That's
it.
Right.
Anyway, Sara Yousef says it brought her to tears. It made her feel really awful. This is about hearing Phil Markel's victim impact statement. So, Joe Patuto, let's just put a bow on this. I mean, the bottom line here is not unlike some of Wendy's and the Adelson's other friends. They are no longer friends, and basically said that they were speaking about this somewhat publicly, amongst their friends, and saying what a crappy person Dan is. I mean, it might not carry water legally, but it at least goes to speak to the kind of people that the Adelsons are post the murder of Dan Markel. Do you agree?
Yeah, but I don't know that anyone is surprised. I think Monica is absolutely right. Donna was consistent before and after. There's nothing in anything that I can recall subsequent to the murder that would lead you to believe that they felt any differently than her comment at that birthday party demonstrates. Not the wiretap on the calls from the jail between Donna and Charlie. Nothing.
Yeah.
No.
I don't even understand some of these. I look at the comments while and someone's asking. I won't even mention it. It's anyway. Stephen Webster is the other motion in limine. Tim Jansen, and Stephen Webster appears on this show quite a bit. He was Dan's post-divorce attorney. He's an attorney in Tallahassee. Very nice guy. And in his deposition, and by the way, he testified at Charlie's trial. Stephen Webster claims that Dan told him. So this is now Dan telling Webster that Donna said stupid is on the phone. Now you can call Dan Markel a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. The guy with the Harvard undergrad and Harvard law. But I mean, that appears to be, hearsay again, Tim. But what happens here? I mean, Webster's a witness that Georgia says she plans on calling.
Well, I didn't understand why Webster testified in the first trial. By his own admission, Stephen said he had never done a family law case in his life. It was referred to him by another friend, and he never filed a motion in this case at all before Dan was killed. So he's certainly not a family law expert. He didn't file anything. He basically read stuff, and he counseled his client. None of that would be admissible. It would be hearsay. He can't come up and say how he thought for sure they wouldn't be able to move the kids. He had no experience in it. He can't say he knows the judge on the case and how that judge ruled. He by his own admission, never did a family law case. It appears like they hired him, and I'm just saying appears. They hired someone that didn't have a lot of family law experience so that Dan could draft the motions and this lawyer could file them. Because I don't think Dan knew Stephen. But so I don't know. He certainly can't be an expert. He doesn't qualify. And I think the motion will be granted. I don't think they're going to let him testify.
That's interesting. So, I mean, Monica, just to add a little more substance to what we're talking about, the motion in limine asserts that Stephen Webster did not get involved in Dan Markel's legal matters until May of 2014. Of course, he's murdered 2 months later in July. And then in May 2014, the day after reading the pleadings, he was asked to review stuff. The hearsay objection, Webster plans to testify that Dan told him that Donna said that stupid is on the phone. The defense here is saying that this is inadmissible hearsay. The exact quote in the motion is, quote unquote, such testimony is hearsay for which there is no exception. And they now cite two case studies, Stoll versus State and another one. Do you agree with Tim that even though he testified in the Charlie Adelson case, he's going to be prevented from testifying here in Donna Adelson's case?
I think it'll be prevented.
You do?
I think that could be. I do. I don't see how that statement comes in. It's not like it doesn't appear that it's been entered as like an excited utterance or something. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I look at things through a little bit different lens. So every time a judge makes a ruling, that is actually a benefit to the defense. So because it provides a appellate remedy down the road. So if the defense wins that motion, then yay, they win. If they get ruled against and Mr. Webster's allowed to testify, who I think Stephen Webster is a phenomenal lawyer. He's really smart. He's really good. He's quick on his feet. He's really great. I don't know if this statement's getting in, and if the judge rules against Donna's team, then like I said, it provides them an appellate remedy down the road.
For Steve, great panel today. Thanks to Steve Cohen. Thank you very much. And NR is a member. Joe Patudo, Stephen Webster was called to impeach Wendi. Is this true? Is this accurate?
I was trying to remember. I think that's right that he was rebuttal, but I can't swear to it. It is true that Wendi said things like, the divorce was, we were not at each other in the divorce, and uh, uh, forget what else she said. I know he testified that there were financial issues that they were going after. I don't know if she testified to that in hers. I can't remember her testimony. Um, and I can't remember, Tim or Monica might remember whether Wendy's lawyer testified.
No, I think she did, but Steve did testify. They thought she was withholding financial on her
Right.
financial form was a fraud, and they
Right,
were going to go after her and maybe have her lose her bar card. And so Steve can testify to
right.
that,
That's what I thought.
and I believe that's probably admissible, depending on what Wendy does. If Wendy goes south, this trial tries to say something different, then certainly they can call Stephen in to impeach her.
Yeah. By the way, Julie Frew, one of our mods, it was just her birthday, so big happy birthday to Julie Frew. Donna's next hearing, I think isn't there one on the 11th also? COE,
Yep.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I
Isn't
think
that the
case
case
management,
management?
yeah,
And
on
then
the
there's the venue hearing.
venue hearing. So 11th
But
and the 13th, that would be Wednesday and Friday, I believe. Go
Joe,
ahead.
if I might interject, I don't remember, I'm trying to pull the motion now. I don't remember them saying anything in the motion about, him testifying to the possible financial dealings when they were saying why he should not be called.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't see that either.
Which is
Tim,
interesting
Yeah, it
because it
wasn't
may
in the
be,
motion.
yeah,
yeah.
it's the thing that Tim, I agree with you that he could testify about, and they don't even mention it. I mean, if you're going to
Yeah.
make a motion,
Yeah.
you shouldn't leave out the strongest point for the other side. You should at least try to address it.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
mean,
think the motion eliminates to prohibit him from only not doing these two things, right?
Okay,
One, not giving his opinion. Two,
Let me
not saying
find
he's
it.
an expert. I don't think they're going to be able to keep him off the stand completely, because he does have some value about the contentiousness of the divorce
Right.
and the financial irregularities that she was facing, which would have given her a motive, right? Because if they could prove she hid her financial affidavit was a fraud, the bar could have gone after her, and I believe that's what he testified at the trial the first time.
From Artie here, and different than our Artie in America. This is AARTI. I like that. It's a cool name. If Steve Webster, Monica Jordan, is not allowed to testify, this is interesting. Can Charlie's appeal be amended to basically be like, hey, Dan never submitted a motion to preclude Stephen Webster, and Stephen Webster testified. So what happens with that?
So they're talking about a potential ineffective assistance of counsel claim that Dan never filed to have Stephen Webster's testimony precluded from that trial. The difference is that he testified to rebut Wendi. So that's a different issue. That was something different he was testifying about.
Monica from Wesley John Holmes, my Aussie friend living in Tokyo. Tell me this won't be delayed again. Please, please, please. With Sugar on top, they're trying to get rid of Everett. They want to change a venue. Will this trial start August 19th? It was supposed to start last week.
Well, I'll tell you this. If it's my position that even if Everett recuses himself, or if they take it up and it goes to a higher court, or somehow they figure it out and he does, I don't think the new judge they put on this will delay it. I don't see a judge ever wanting to be the cause of the delay.
Go ahead.
Tim, can I add? I just found the motion. They are asking him to be excluded from testifying during the trial.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be granted.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. And Kristen Adamson did testify. That was Wendy's lawyer.
Right.
She did come in, and I remember because I know Kristen. She came in and testified. She can testify probably as a family law expert. She's been doing family law for at least 25 years.
So, Tim, you see here, Vesper's got it all. She knows all. Case management order set for, this is Wednesday, 2:30. We're going to bring it to you live, assuming we've got a pool camera, which is always a big if. But, Tim, what can we expect before we go on to some other stuff at this case management hearing on Wednesday? How long will it go, and what are they going to discuss?
I think you're going to see the defense come in and probably complain that they haven't been able to go through the 100,000 emails. I think they're going to claim they're not ready to proceed. They've got all these pretrial motions that are still pending. got these motion limited. We got to change the venue. You're not going to hear until Friday. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to ask for additional time. I don't remember what the last deadline he gave them for pretrial motions, because it had passed and they extended it because they continued the trial. So it should be coming up, I would think, pretty soon, the deadline for pretrial motions and discovery.
Yeah.
We'll know at 2:30 if we're on track or we're not on track.
There you go. We'll know this Wednesday at 2:30. And by the
state
way,
is ready to go, and they're not sure it's going, but they want to go. They want to go.
Yeah, I don't want to pressure these people, but it'd be great to have you all for that live hearing, 2:30. No pressure at all. Monica has like a real job, so she's like not me. So Monica Jordan, again, trying to get Judge Everett to me, recused from this trial. When I mean, timetable wise, do you have any idea when we'll get a ruling on something like this? Because now he's going to be presiding over this next hearing, right?
Right.
So I mean,
my crystal ball's broken, Joel. I have no idea.
Tim Jansen, how?
Well, the appellate court may do nothing, and you know what they might send an issue order, request for en banc denied, and that's over. It's done. Now it's back in the trial court, and like Judge Everett, he's moving forward until he's told not to.
Madeline Bullitt reminding everybody that I was crushing the COE in a race a couple years ago in California when I did pull a hamstring and turned a sheet of white and had to lay down on the pavement, and I thought I was going to die. But COE, if you want to pull that up, people can see how far ahead of you I was.
That's why I suggested 50 yards and not 100.
Yeah, but this might send some chills down Grady's spine. He might not want to race me because I'm quick off the whatever the starting block, whatever the term is. So
I'm sure Grady will be terrified.
Yeah, I'm sure. Will Harvey move from Tallahassee to Wakulla? Who knew? They will both miss They never thought when they were trying to get rid of the whole Tallahassee notion that they would end up in Wakulla,
deeply entrenched.
Deeply entrenched in Wakulla. So huge shout out again to Susan Harmon of True Lifestyles. And if you're not following her, she does and gets a lot of interesting things. So these are now prison logs. And I have to be honest, I'm not sure which months, but they go back. So these are from the Leon County Jail. And I'm going to pull these up here if I can get rid of this comment. There we go. We'll go through these one at a time. She appears. And by the way, STS Nation, please put in triple Qs. You got a amazing panel tonight, and they're fun on top of it, even though we're talking about a serious case. And I'll throw some questions to them if you have them. I'll scroll down to the end of the chat. You see this from
Joe, you don't have, at least on my screen, I don't have the calls, if that's what you think is up.
Me neither.
Wait,
No,
say this again.
The log is not up.
You don't have the log up.
Motion.
Did you say you thought the log was up? It's not.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking. It's Webster's motion 789. I mean, the motion on Webster. Excuse me.
This has never happened. Are you seeing it now?
Oh, there
now
it
it is. Here
well,
we
now
go.
we're seeing the appears awake. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so this is from the prison. That's weird. That's never happened before. But you'll see here, ironically, this is between April Fools, although it's no April Fool's joke, of 2025 and May 31st. I don't have the exact date on this, but you see, she appears asleep, appears awake, in bed, head covered, quiet, resting, sitting, talking, yelling, laughing. And this is apparently to herself here, presumably. Tim Jansen, interesting. I mean, you've got to entertain yourself inside the Leon County Jail, but what, if anything, do you make of this incarcerated person, otherwise known as Donna Sue Adelson?
Well, it looks like someone is doing a walk by and doing an observation on her, seeing how she's doing after all of her complaining, all of this high profile client. They probably had someone going, write notes, what she's doing, make sure we keep an eye on her in case she files something. None of that is abnormal. Probably the same for every inmate in there. Awake, head covered, quiet, resting, talking, yelling. Yeah, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah. Monica, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Yeah. Monica, to you, Tim reminded me of this. Your client, Luis Rivera, who cut a deal, probably the smartest of this bunch, who's going to he's getting out of federal prison soon, and he's headed into state prison. By the way, thank you, your latex spouse, and then for this too. Appreciate it very much. Luis Rivera, when he moves into first of all, have you talked to him recently? And the second question is, when he moves into a state prison, does he have a reason to be nervous because he quote unquote ratted and cut a deal?
I have spoken to him recently, and yes, I think there's always that concern. When I made this comment to Tim the other day, when we struck that deal that was in his best interest, and he's been the only honest individual among this group of people. Mm-hmm. No one could have anticipated that he would have given 7 different performances. And when I say performances, I mean appearances, in depositions, in hearings, in trials, in retrials, in more depositions. He's always been consistent. He has been plastered all over the media. I think if we would have had a crystal ball back then and known how involved and how much of a, just how much of a key role he would have in all of these trials, I think we would have fought for even a better deal. Mm. Because no one could have predicted this would have turned into this many appearances in court. And I don't think any of us really at the time, although the story was tragic, thought it would have turned into this 11-year saga that, we're now in.
Yeah. I don't know if you can even answer this, but is there any relationship left between Sigfredo and Luis, or are they? I mean, they're obviously
one's in state prison and one's in federal prison.
Yeah,
so
I know.
No way they can communicate.
They have no way to communicate.
But
have you heard have you heard anything about Sigfredo being vengeful or vindictive or angry that he's serving life and Luis is getting out?
Well, Luis isn't getting out.
Well, he's going to state. Eventually, he's getting out.
Yeah.
What does he have? He has 6 years left.
Sigfredo had that same opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
His lawyers told him to take it to the door, and he chose to be loyal to the mother of his children. So he chose poorly. Mm-hmm. So if he wants to be mad at somebody, he needs to be mad at himself.
You don't mess around with Monica. I will just move along right now before I get yelled at. Here's another one. Appears asleep, appears awake, head covered, in bed, in cell, in day room, movement observed. So she's alive, on phone, on table. It's interesting. Standing, pacing, talking, unannounced round, watching TV, talking to self, reading, sitting, naked. She is naked in her cell. And then you've got a question here, Tim Jansen from LEM.
Here we go.
Does the panel feel Donna's current behavior, yelling, laughing, and being naked, is a precursor to her attorneys saying she is not competent to stand trial? People think that this.
No chance. And she's more than competent, and they would have had to declare that a long time ago. If they tried to come in now and argue that she's not competent, these lawyers will be in serious trouble. They better have a good faith bail. I don't think she's not competent. For her to be sitting around naked after she's complaining about someone touching her in the shower while she's showering, I don't know. I mean, maybe she was changing and maybe the guard came right where she was in the middle of changing clothes. I don't know. But I can't imagine Donna walking around in her cell being naked. I just, if that's true, maybe the marbles are moving in the wrong direction.
Someone's asking Driftwood if anyone's visited Donna in jail. I know Harvey has. I know her attorneys have. I don't know of anyone else. 5Car5 is always here for this story and has been here for a long time. Joe Patuto, let me put you on the spot. What is Donna's defense going to be? Is she going to use the double extortion? I don't think so. What are they going to say?
I still think, I don't have a crystal ball either, but I still think given Charlie's trial, that the only thing that she can do is to say she knew something was going on, but she believed her son, she trusted her son, she did what he said because he was her son, and she's this loving, trusting mother, who didn't question the motives or the veracity of her darling child. If there's another defense out there that's even possibly plausible, I can't think of it.
Tim Jansen, any thoughts on the
Well, I
defense?
always thought that Charlie's defense should have been, yes, we wanted him to rough this guy up, but we never intended for him to kill him. These guys went out of their way. I think then they maybe been able to argue for a manslaughter or something. But for this crazy defense they came up with and the rehearsed lines by Charlie, it was never going to work. It was never going to work.
Perhaps the most interesting comment of the night coming back from Edward B. Murphy, disrobing Donna doing intimate celly elders only fan shoot
Like
for
fan only. She's doing fan only. Now.
Elders only fans.
That's why she needs her tablet.
EOF. If that hasn't been started yet, elders only fans. Shoot for barrister bills in arrears.
Oh
Is Edward B. Murphy? Are you British? Are you giving it away? What? Joe Patuto, you'll know this. What do we call lawyers in Canada? They're not barristers, are they?
I think they are. I think they're on the same system, solicitors and barristers.
Oh, yep. Well, there you go. So barristers, he could be. Edward, let us know. Canadian, British, what are you? And then I had a question. I had a question for Monica, and now I don't know what it was. But Monica, let me pull up another one of these here. People showing condolences to Steve Cohen. Well, there's a wacky vibe in the air today. This is another one here. Appears asleep, appears awake, head covered in bed, pacing, and then you say at the end, contraband found, movement observed. They don't tell you what the contraband is. Monica, I know you don't have your crystal ball, but if you had to take a guess, I mean, what is, besides a shank or a shiv, what else is contraband in that cell?
Unauthorized paperwork, a pen, a paper clip, two highlighters instead of one,
cupcakes,
right? An extra little Debbie Swiss cake that she traded on a bet she lost, or when we look at these logs, they're continuations of 15-minute checks, and or what appears to be 15-minute checks, and they're like, it's like a shorthand. So it's not like this is all one evaluation. It's not like they're doing a walk by and watching her in the cell, and it's like, oh, she's sleeping. Oh no, she's awake. Oh, her head's covered. Oh, she's talking to her. These are continuing notes from that shift. So this can all be taking place in a 10-hour shift. If they do 4 10s, or however their shifts are. So I just wanted to point that out, so you don't think this is all just from one evaluation or one view, one cell front view. So this is over the course of that entire shift, probably.
Well, and I would say, except for the in cell, I might do all of that in a night too.
Yeah.
I mean, I see anything there.
Right. And if she's not completely menopausal, she could be naked because she's having a heat stroke. The contraband found, though, could be
a spoon.
I would think.
Exactly.
By the way, I think Donna is probably completely menopausal at this point. I would think.
Right. Yeah, she's maybe completed the circuit.
What do I know?
So it does, when it shows contraband found, it does, like, immediately you go, aha, she's got pills or a phone or a shank or, something like really that's, exciting. She could have had literally like one batch of her paperwork that was supposed to be in property, and it's the wrong batch. I mean, it could be something like that. It could have been a letter. It could have been a pen. So although it was something she wasn't supposed to have, I don't want people to think that, they found her with a knife and she was gonna, stab
But
somebody.
if she's in bed naked reading paperwork, and the guards say, like, what do? They ask to see her paperwork to see if it's permitted paperwork.
No, not if it's legal paperwork. But I'm just saying sometimes you're only allowed to have like one folder of paperwork.
Okay.
And so if they noticed like 3 folders of legal paperwork, that may be what got her in trouble. But it doesn't look like she was sanctioned in any way. It just says contraband found.
Right.
So they could have said you have 2 hair ties and you're only supposed to have 1, so we're taking your other hair tie.
That was going to be my question, except it was going to be highlight. Let's say she had 2 highlighters. Do they just say you're only allowed 1? Give me the other one, and she has to hand it over?
Probably.
And she doesn't get, and like
that would be the easiest way. I mean, what are you going to do? Put her in confinement over a highlighter? I mean, at this point, they're probably so over her being a tattletale, or not a tattletale, but just being high maintenance, that this is why they're not that opposed to her going to Wakulla. They're like, bye, go aggravate those people down there.
Well, she's certainly not following the advice, Joel, of the former inmates you've had on the show, saying the best advice is stay low, don't rock the boat, clearly she's not doing any of that. And she hasn't done it from day one.
She was hoarding items, and she had, like, from my understanding from an inmate that she had like extra bars of soap and extra things that, cleaning products that she was hoarding, somehow getting. I don't know what she was doing to get them, but, the jail doesn't want to deal with her. They've got, what, 30 or 40, maybe 60 inmates in there. And the last thing they want is some high-profile inmate and something happened to her. Now they're in trouble. They got to watch her and watch all the other inmates. So they're glad to be rid of her.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, Jerry Michael has been here forever as well. Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Can someone go from competent to incompetent?
Yeah, but it's I've had clients that decompensate, right? They're not competent. They go to Chattahoochee and they become competent, and then they lose their meds. They don't get counseling. They decompensate again and go back to incompetent. And they go back to Chattahoochee. She's not that case where she starts on a borderline. She is not incompetent. She's more than competent. I don't think anything she's done or said or I've seen says she's not competent. She's very involved with her defense. And even when she's asked questions, she comes to all the court. She appears. She talks. Now, she made facial gestures the first time, but that's because she really didn't know she can't do that. Now she knows she doesn't do that anymore. So she's not competent.
Yeah, Canine Catherine, maybe she's trying to seduce the guard. I've got a better chance of beating Grady in that.
That's scary. That's scary.
Joe Patuto, what about this? I don't think this is going to happen either because she's going to love the attention. But can she refuse? We've seen defendants not show up in court. You know who did that was Stefan Stearns didn't show up for a bunch of his hearings or his arraignment, I think. But does a defendant have the right to not appear in court?
Ultimately, yes, she's got a due process right not to be there if she doesn't want to be there. They'll try to persuade her to go, but you don't drag somebody into court in chains if they don't want to be there. It's a right, but most rights you can waive.
Yeah.
And these pre-trial things, she doesn't have to be at any of them. I mean, the part that matters is to be there when the jury is there, when there's actually a trial. So,
they could waive not to be there too.
I know they can. I know they can, but I mean, the other stuff is really, it's not even a huge deal. I mean, there's nothing much she's going to say at a motion hearing, but she can waive.
This is a great question from Dr. Reinhardt. I'm going to bring this to Tim, who's the active criminal defense attorney. How does Donna handle her emails? If you'll recall, and in one of the emails, she's basically telling Wendi to have the kids dress up like Nazis to get under Dan's skin, coming from a Jewish grandmother. But what do you do, or how does she handle this on cross if she were to be crossed?
She said she's going to say, I was just trying to get Wendi to do something. Wendi was being too passive. So I was encouraging her by these emails, hoping it would get her attention to have her do something. It certainly wasn't meant any harm towards Dan. Far from it. I was upset. She was upset. It's typical mother things, but that's all it was. And yes, I sent those emails.
Well,
And then she'd start crying on the stand.
There really is.
If she testifies, she has to answer to Charlie's defense about we were extorted.
100%.
And so that's the true, like, almost perjury trap of putting her on. Because if you put her on, I think they're going to fillet her over those issues.
I mean, is there any chance
you're going to keep her off the stand? You think Donna, who's been on TV shows, who's controlled this whole thing about her daughter, who's controlled her grandkids, who controlled Charlie, who did the bump without and talked in codes and stuff and did all this, you don't think she's going to get on that stand and say, I didn't do it? No chance.
I think that's, listen, I can make an argument for both putting her on and keeping her off, but I'm just saying once you put her on, then that opens the whole Charlie defense, which
I agree
will jam him down the road if he gets a new trial.
Right? So Tim, you are unequivocally saying that you think Donna is going to testify?
100%.
Wow.
I cannot think of any murder case I've had or any serious case where my client didn't testify. The ones that won in federal court, got acquitted, testified. Right?
Or got themselves convicted.
And sexual battery cases, date rape cases. You don't testify, you're going to get convicted.
I agree.
By the way, Teresa and Nick here, the Markels are having a tough time. They're human beings, and this is their son. And now it's got to go on and on and on and on and on. And they're being, re-traumatized as we go here.
It's the children. How about the fact that, these poor kids that are, almost grown now, they lost the other matriarch in their family, and that was Donna. I mean, they've lost a lot.
Yeah, they've lost, grandmothers on post, right? I mean, and they don't really get to see Ruth, so yeah, they've lost. A lot of people are asking me, do they Google this? Do they know? I mean, they've got to know.
And Joel, I would say, I know everybody's worried about the trial being delayed and delayed and delayed, but there's nothing that I see here so far, unless the lawyers are involved and there's a decision on the basis of what the judge has that they shouldn't continue. I don't see anything that should delay this trial very much, if at all. Now, the defense can say, Tim is right, we have these 100,000 texts and emails to go through. But, they had 100,000 texts and emails since what? March, April? When did that happen? And now it's June.
I think that was in April or May.
Okay. All right. So now it's June. How long are you going to be able to say you can't be ready for trial because you have 100,000 emails or whatever they were to go through? I mean, there's a point at which that argument doesn't fly. And some of the reason why they're not able to do it is because there's this flurry of motions, one after another after another. And if they'd write the motion correctly the first time, so the appellate court could understand what they really were saying and deny it on that basis, we would be done with some of this.
Yeah.
I agree.
Tim, I just want to come back to you on this cross. So you're so confident here that Donna's going to take this stand, but just take us inside baseball here. Is this something that Georgia thinks about at night? Like, how am I going to cross? It is
100%. They got one lawyer. They got one lawyer, and they've got another lawyer in the office that is nothing but getting booklets on cross-examination, everything she said and done. Someone watching the opening statements, looking at that opening statement by the defense, figuring out where they're going, and starting to go back to transcripts and witnesses and evidence that they can use to impeach it. 100%. That's what I would be doing. And they've got resources, trust me. Right, Monica?
Monica, this is very complicated. And they make it look easy, but I mean, can you just add to what Tim is saying? I mean, this is a very complicated process. So, they're anticipating, I guess, per Tim already that she's going to take the stand. So, I mean, do they have questions written down for cross already? I mean, or do they have to pivot?
Georgia's not a type out a script kind of trial lawyer. She she knows what she's going to ask. I absolutely agree with Tim that they are already putting a notebook together. Because you don't start preparing for the defendant's testimony when you go, oh my God, the defendant's testifying. Can we have a break? I mean, that's not when you start preparing for that. That's a little bit of the trial fatigue, is that you're preparing and preparing and preparing so much just because you don't know what you're going to get ambushed with. So yeah, I do think they're preparing for that. I don't know who in the office is doing that. Probably maybe some lower level lawyers. But as far as like,
I think Rachel's doing it. Jankowski.
Oh, good for her. So yeah, I think everybody kind of wants to have a little bit of their thumbprint on that to help Georgia get through it, because obviously this is another big case. But no, Georgia does not write out her questions. Like, please state your name.
No.
How old are you? Where do you live? Georgia doesn't need all that.
I mean, to me, this is like some of the most interesting stuff. But Tim, conversely, and then we'll get the professor to weigh in. So the direct exam, when she's on the stand, how is Jackie Fulford and or Josh Zellman? How do you coach a witness? I mean, I feel like there's so many things that they need to be careful of, because they don't want too much information from their client. So they've got a defense strategy. And what do they? I mean, do they say to Donna, okay, you're on the stand and let's practice? And he asks a question and she answers.
We don't use the word coach. Okay. We don't coach our witnesses.
Okay.
We
Sorry about
prepare
that.
them
Okay.
and we prepare them for questions. We give them an idea what we're going to topics we're going to go into. And so what we do in big trials, you split them up. You get these witnesses, you got that witness. You take the witness and you have a folder and a file. Every statement they've made, every witness, every criminal history, plea deals, every time that they've testified, you put all that so you have it ready. You can't sit there and be looking at your stuff while the witness is testifying. You have to watch and listen. So you already have to have prepared your cross of areas you can hit them with. And you have to be watching, because you have to be objecting. And if you don't object, you've waived it. So it's not easy. You got to be able to swivel, and trials are fluid, but it's preparation. You prepare so much before. It's like practicing a football game. You practice that down and out pass 9 times till it's 3rd and 10, and it's almost second nature. Same thing with trials. No one likes surprises at trials. Prosecution doesn't, neither does defense. And that's where you earn the big bucks, because surprises happen all the time. And you got to make a split-second decision. Do I object? Do I not object? Is that good for us? Or is that bad for us? Do I confer with the client? Do I ask for a sidebar? Do I ask for a mistrial? All those things are going through your mind. So that it's stressful. And that's why lawyers get worn out in trials, because you're on from 7 in the morning till 11 at night when you're in trial. You don't stop.
So Monica, just back to this for a minute. So let's say Donna's up on the stand. She's telling her story. Is Georgia, she has a yellow legal pad and she's just jotting down notes, whatever sticks out? Is she writing? I mean, you said she doesn't write questions. So how is she? I don't know.
She doesn't do a script of questions. Right. She probably writes a kind of an outline of some areas, and she knows she has said in other venues and other areas, so she has a general idea. But like Tim said, you have to be always thinking, and then she's got a team of lawyers there too. She's got a team of assistants that are taking notes and, hey, don't forget this, and then, that's why oftentimes you'll see the lawyer asking the questions come back to the table and either lean over and talk to the associate, talk to me, talk to somebody else. Hey, did I miss something? Because while they're asking the questions, they're not really listening to the answer. They're trying to get to the next question sometimes. And so when you kind of get in that funnel, you may miss something. And that's, there may have been a big highlight area that we had discussed earlier about wanting to talk about. So both sides have that. And, I mean, she's Sarah Dugan's probably going to be sitting there with her. I mean, hasn't Sarah been doing all these other trials with her?
Yeah, and Tim,
Yeah.
Tim, this is going to be streamed live, so there going to be people back at the office, at the SAO's office,
100%.
watching it.
See, I see them because I see the lawyers coming in, giving them folders, doing stuff, and I know because I've got cases with a certain lawyer that she can't do anything when this trial goes. Now, like I had to, and Monica work with me on this big federal trial. I had the defendant on the stand for 3 days. I did the direct. There was a cross, and then I did the redirect for 3 straight days. And that, you think about being tired and worn out. Yeah. I mean, that's.
And also, just so you know, when people complain about 100,000 documents, we had a million, 1 million pieces of paper that were touched in that trial that Tim's talking about. So we know what it's like to have a real heavy document style case.
This is a piece of cake case. This is a piece of cake.
Well, and the other part of this is even if you miss something the first time around, you have time and you can go back and revisit. It's not as though once you finish a subject area, you can never go back and ask another question or pursue it. So with a lot of people looking, and some of the prep is really, if she says this, if this is her answer, where do we go? What should we do? I mean, preparation is always the better part of being successful. It doesn't matter whether it's a trial or anything else. And if you don't prepare, you can't, your chances of prevailing decrease quite a bit.
By the
And I
way,
have no doubt that these lawyers have been, on the state side at least, have been preparing. You can see it from what they do and how they do it. You don't have to know anything about them. Just watch the trial and know they've been putting in a lot of preparation hours.
It's like studying for the exam, right, Professor?
Preparing ahead of time. You damn well right it is.
But it's a lot easier if you know the questions before the test.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
Everything in life is easier if you know ahead of time what it's going to be.
The answers. You know the answers. Yeah. I do think that Donna is getting her money's worth. I mean, I don't know what she paid this legal team, but it sounds like they're actively engaged. I mean, they're fighting. They're fighting for her.
Yeah.
I just saw a comment that said Georgia's tried this case 3 times. Let me say this. Georgia's not taking anything for granted. This is the biggest case in that office right now. This is the biggest defendant in that office. Everything is focused on convicting Donna and then deciding what they're going to go forward. They're not losing the ball. She's not going to lay down. They're trying to convict Donna. So I expect them to get full press.
Yeah, and plus I would think that having done 3 trials, the issue, if there is one, is keeping track of whether you've actually asked that particular question of this witness in this trial. That can be hard to track, and that's why having other people watching and checking is really, really useful.
Well, Joe, I also think it's a little bit difficult because you get communication bleed over when did I learn this from the first trial? Did I learn this from Lewis during this person's trial? Was this on cross? I mean, there's a lot of overlap in this trial. And so like I said, I think the communication bleeds into each other, and that becomes a little difficult to keep siloed off.
And that's actually why I thought Wendi wore the same outfit the second time around, to just make it difficult to figure out which trial the testimony came from.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
My take on that, Joel.
Yep.
She was giving a performance, so you wear the same your costume when you're in a performance.
Yeah.
Same costume for the actor. Larissa Harris here. This is for you, Monica. Georgia wants Wendi. I remember how she would look at her. I always asked Tim, do you think Georgia, I know she's never going to admit it, she's never going to show it, but competitive spirit, do you think she wants to get Wendi indicted and then try her?
Probably. I mean, Georgia's not vindictive. She's just like middle of the road. Like, I call her the ice princess. Like
I
she's
agree
just
with
not
that.
reactionary. She's not emotional. I don't mean that in a negative. I know
Right.
that sounds negative, and I probably should come up with another, analogy, but she's just not emotionally driven. Like Tim and I are like very reactionary. Like you're gonna know if we're like aggravated or happy or
For
being
sure.
extra spazzy. You're not gonna know anything with Georgia. It's like,
Nope.
Yeah.
and so
She's cool.
maybe secretly she may be like, yeah, I'm gonna get her in my crosshairs one day, but she's like, Georgia is really, really good at playing the long game. So she's like, okay, well, it may not be today, maybe 10 years from now, but that, I'll get her one day.
Yeah, that's actually a lot scarier than being
Oh,
emotional.
for sure. It's way more calculating.
Yeah. Dr. Reinhardt, again to Tim, what options does Donna have left to explain her attempted flight to Vietnam now that she's given a statement in a hearing about the non-extradition? She basically said, well, it'd be easier for us to turn ourselves in or whatever. So what kind of wiggle room does she have on the stand to alter that story?
That story is bad. She's not going to have any wiggle room. That's going to be the coup de grace. That's the crescendo. Oh, Donna, tell us about your vacation. And then jury instruction. You can infer guilt from her consciousness of a flight to evade prosecution. Oh, okay. So when you were talking about Georgia, I just want to say this. When you go into a trial, you try to get every advantage you can, right? And I hope state attorneys, sometimes you try to fluster the opponent. Sometimes you try to fluster the prosecutor or the agents. Doesn't work with Georgia. She doesn't show her cards. Some of the other prosecutors, like Jack used to get so mad when I had trials with them. He squeezed his hand so hard. I think he would have punched me a couple times. But Georgia, not at all. Just cool, calm, just like nothing. And you get frustrated because you're like, wow, what can I do to get her off her game? What can I do to, and not really nothing. If she makes a mistake, it's because she made a mistake or the witness did. She doesn't. Sarah's a more emotional. She's very open and gets along with people. But Georgia, no, I won't say it's bad that she's an ice princess. She's just very competent and very confident in herself. And she knows what she's doing, and she has alternatives. If you do this, she's going to do that. And the judges trust her.
Monica, for here from Michael Schaub. Any chance Donna says her son told her about the extortion and she didn't believe him, but he is her son and she wanted to protect him and help pay these people because she was scared? Is that a possible defense? I mean, I guess anything is, correct?
I mean, yeah, anything's possible, but then that's like a double negative. I mean, I didn't believe him, but I did it, but I didn't want to, but I did it. And so, I mean, that's going to get a little tough to follow in a trial.
And she's not going to be able to explain this. I mean, Charlie sounded over rehearsed and had an answer for everything, which, by the way, Joel, is not what you should be doing when you prepare a witness. The witness is supposed to sound at least, not as though he's got a script and he's following it. But I can't believe that she's going to be able to do it. She's so chatty generally that it's just hard for me to believe that no matter what the advice is, she's going to be able to sit on the stand and follow it for any length of time.
I think Jackie will do the direct of her.
Yes,
because
she's very close with Jackie.
I think they have a close, and
do.
I don't know this personally, but I believe them to have a close relationship. So they may try and do it more of a dialogue, like not so much, yes, no, but just a real dialogue. And that may come off better. But if it's just, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what she says.
But she's still going to have to survive cross. And no matter what they tell her she should be doing and answering on cross, I just can't. I mean, she may surprise all of us, but it would certainly be a surprise to me.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more, and then we'll get final thoughts here. But this is also the part of the log from the corrections officer walking around saying that she's resting on bunks. This is Donna, of course, and on tablets. Inmate declined shower, but allowed to exercise for 20 minutes. Donna exits cell 41 and declines to utilize 20 minutes to shower. She might be scarred from the shower now, because that's where this woman, she alleges, tried to get a little funny with her. Inmate Adelson walked on the
Funny.
recreation deck for exercise. So she did go out on the recreation. I just can't even imagine or picture this. And then this is the final one here, which we're not going to read because it is very long and I'm going to go blind. But Donna complained she doesn't get enough time outside. Donna also complains on multiple occasions that she doesn't want to go outside. So Joe Patuto, I don't know what's happening here. She's complaining she can't go outside and saying that she doesn't want to go outside at the same time. It's a paradox.
Well, putting it in the best light for her, sometimes she wants to be outside and sometimes she doesn't. And the jail doesn't exceed to her schedule of when she wants to be outside and when she doesn't. So she's complaining she's not allowed to go outside. Read between the lines is she's not being given her time outside when she wants it.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
yeah, that's how I read that.
That's very wise of you, and I guess that makes perfect sense. She wants it on her terms, and it's not happening. Monica, do you agree with this? Georgia makes Wendi nervous, and this is coming from Donna's very narrow ear canals. That's a very interesting
Yes.
name. But do you agree that Georgia makes Wendi nervous?
Georgia makes all of us nervous.
Really? She does. Yeah. Georgia is an imposing. For those who have not seen her in person, she's tall. Her dad was a quarterback at FSU. Like she's got a very commanding presence. Let's put it that way. One other question that kept coming up, and I'm going to toss this one to Joe Patuto because she has none of this. But people are asking, is it possible that I guess she's decompensating? She's getting a little older. She's not that old. She's 75. Carm called me today. Carm's turning 86 and she's 100% with it. But could it be like dementia or one of these things starting to set in, Joe Patuto? Tim says there's no way she's getting off on, not competent. But I don't know. From your world of teaching law, is there a situation here where they would have to get her tested for competency or to see if in fact she's got early onset dementia or any of these things going on, particularly because her behavior appears to be a little bizarre?
Well, yeah, but I think it would have to be more than what you have right now. Of course, it's not impossible, but you have to have some basis for believing that that's what's going on. I don't know that they would do it just because she decided not to wear clothes on the bed one day in the cell, or that she's doing things that I think are pretty normal in the course of a night or a week. Nothing in that list seemed to me to be unusual, and I think it's more. She's getting crankier and crankier about the fact that she's not getting her way. And so she's finding more ways to cause a little difficulty, which only turns on her. I mean, it's the worst strategy in the world to get somebody to acquiesce and try to accede to what you want by making it more difficult. But that's what it looks like to me. She's not getting her way. So she fights back. This reminds me a little of Lori Daybell the other day saying she was sick and couldn't go to the trial. I mean, this seems to me, and I think she's perfectly capable of standing trial. This is on a much lower level, but this is the way it strikes me. Same way.
By the way, go ahead, Monica.
So when people that are that controlling on the outside world end up in custody, she has no control over anything in her life. She has no control when she eats, what she's going to wear, what is going to be prepared as her meal. So they will exert control over anything they can. And what she's doing is she's lashing out and complaining and making up stories. I'm not getting time outside. And it's just her way to exert some control over her life because she has no control over anything right now.
Someone just asked how tall Georgia is. I don't know. I would say 5'8", 5'9". Tim Jansen, you would know. She seems tall.
She's
Well,
tall.
She wears heels, so she's taller when she wears the heels.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say she's a good 5'10".
Yeah,
maybe.
she's tall.
And Sarah's tall too.
Yeah, they almost look
Sarah's
like
tall.
they almost look like sisters.
I think
Yeah.
Sarah's like 5'9" or 10.
By the way, I did get an email and thank you from Nicole, who told me that Wakulla is not as bad as people are making it out to be. Because here, Ohio Palm Mom wants to know if they have but we heard that they don't have
They have
AC.
They have
do
air
have AC.
conditioning.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have air conditioning.
and that's what Nicole told me. Call me Patty LaBelle, but I love this daily reality for Donna Sue. There you go, from La Mesa Filipino Food Club. It is again a kind of a bittersweet, sad day here. This is Dan Markel, obviously, and then are you guys seeing this? This is Steve's mom. Rita Cohen passed away. Don't leave for tomorrow what you can't do today. She was born in Egypt and emigrated to this country. And obviously, Steve gets his intelligence from both his parents. So, a very smart woman. So, she will be missed. And we sent something on behalf of all of STS Nation. But Steve appreciates it. And I've been in touch with him. And it is horrible to lose a parent. It doesn't matter how old they are or when it is. It's just not good. Monica Jordan is a fan favorite of mine. Looking pretty in pink. I can say that because I don't have an HR department and I no longer work at
Neither
Fox
do I.
News. Yeah. I was at Fox News where every single guy was fired.
She's
for
not an
something.
employee either.
No.
Right.
So
Or
Monica
or
is
second class probably.
Monica is let me say it this way. She's the best private investigator in the country. And she will work hard to help you if you're ever in trouble. So don't get in trouble. Monica, your final thoughts on this. Will this trial start on August 19th? And your final thoughts.
I think it will, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to be, my prediction is it's going to be hard to pick a jury because that's probably about like the first week of school and the first week of college going back. And everybody is just, has so much going on during that week that everybody and their brother is probably going to try to dip out of jury duty.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. You've got, most importantly, you've got FSU football, right? In school, like you just said. No, I don't think anyone's. So you're saying that true Tallahasseans are going to say, yeah, I don't want to be on this jury because I've got to be home to watch or prep for football.
It's first day of school. It's first day of school, or I think school goes back right in that window somewhere. So if you've got younger children and, you're trying to coordinate school drop off and you got to be at the courthouse at 8 and it's just a lot. And I think people are going to try and use that as not an excuse, but a reality of why they want to be deferred to another jury panel or another, jury summons time period.
And by the way, Monica, FSU, I think, is playing Bama. Who do I have a better shot at getting tickets from, you or Tim? I'll be nicer to whoever that is.
Grady can probably help you get tickets.
That's August 30th, I think.
August. Okay, well, it's still then. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm afraid of Grady, but
Grady flies on the team plane with Monica.
What?
That's for baseball, not for football.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So I'll have to talk to Grady. Maybe you'll talk to him for me, Monica.
It's much better when you win, though. Just so you know, and you fly with the team.
Monica, tell Grady I'll take it easy on him in the race.
So you have boosters on the team plane, huh?
Uh-huh.
By the way,
to show you how much money he gave Joe.
Yeah, I know, but I'm thinking of it from sitting on the committee on infractions.
Yeah.
It's not a violation. It's not a violation in itself unless you have recruits on the plane too.
Oh, no, none of that.
For those who don't know, Joe Patuto deals in University of Nebraska athletics stuff. So that's why she is commenting about this. And for those who don't know, Joe Patuto is our legal professor emerita, University of Nebraska Law School. She is an Italiophile, meaning she's an expert and obsessed with all things Italian, as she should be.
Oh, good.
She is Italian. And she's a Jersey girl, which is even better, my home state. Joe Patuto, I'm going to leave it open-ended. What are you most curious about as we inch closer to trial?
I don't think there's anything in particular. I guess if I had to say, what I'm curious about is whether this trial will start promptly on August 19th. I agree with Monica. I think it will, but that's my main level. And I wouldn't call that curiosity. It's my main question. Otherwise, I don't know that I'm curious about anything. We've read all the motions, seen the other trials, nothing. I'm just a blob.
Joe, I kind of want to go back to law school at night. How long would it take me?
Usually 4 years. It's a little longer than going during the day, and it depends on how many classes you take. But it takes what it takes. What I tell students is you can do it now, and in 4 years you'll have your JD. Or 4 years will come and go, and you won't have your JD. I mean, time is going to go one way or the other. You should fill it as fully as you can, and fill it with things you want to do and you want to be able to do later.
Would you do my homework if I go back?
No, but I'll review it for you and critique it.
Oh, thank you. You know, Carm used to do all my French homework. I took French, which I would never, ever do again, for 7 years. And then Carm eventually at some point had a parent-teacher conference with Ms. It was, what was her last name? I'm blanking on her name. It'll come to me. But anyway, she finally had a parent-teacher conference with her. I can't believe I'm blanking. Her first name is Marlene. I can't think of her last name. Anyway, Carm comes home from the parent-teacher conference. And I was like, how'd it go? She goes, it went really well. There's just one problem. And I said, well, what's the problem? She goes, your French teacher does not speak French, because my mom spoke fluent French. And apparently she had Miss Manella, Marlene Manella. Marlene Manella was my French teacher. And I'm at a Nets game. This has to be 1985 at the Meadowlands. And they gave away a fur coat at halftime. And Miss Manella, who we didn't even know was at the game, won the fur coat. And me and all my friends were like, is that Miss Manella? And she won the fur coat. And she told us the next day in French class. But the whole point is she didn't speak French. Last but not least, you got the famed Tallahassee criminal defense attorney, R as in the letter R and O-U-R, Timothy Jansen. Tim Jansen, say it isn't so. Tell us that this is going to start August 19th. And what else could go wrong between now and then?
I don't know, but I think it will. I think this trial will be longer than the last trial, because I think they have to add in all the stuff with Donna. So I think everybody wants it to start. I agree with Monica. That time period, August, people coming back, kids going to school. It's going to be curious what to see. I don't know if college will start by that point, Monica. I think they might be a week later. That might be sorority rush and all that stuff. And
it's just a lot of activity
in
mid-August in this community. I was thinking more of the local residents that live here that have school-age children, just that getting back from the last vacation, school shopping, getting everybody's school supplies. It's just a tough time. I mean, not just in Tallahassee, but that time period in general for people that have school-age children. You're having to get back on the grind, and you don't want to start with having jury duty.
I think we'll know, Joel, by this hearing on Wednesday, if that trial date's going to be real.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're going to cover that. That's, by the way, there are hearings Wednesday and Friday this week. Hopefully we can bring them to you live. If there is a pool camera, it's about time. I took Latin, bad choice. Monica, do you remember having to, they made us do this in New Jersey. You had to cover your books, and I would use like the paper bag from the supermarket.
Yes.
Is that would you do that?
Yes. That was the coolest thing to do. We weren't rich, so we couldn't buy the cool fancy book covers. We had to make them.
I don't think there's a kid in America that does that. Are the
I don't
kids
know if
still
they have,
they don't have books.
No.
They don't have,
Well, there's that. But they don't have the paper bags anymore, hardly ever.
You know, they don't have let's spend a moment on this because it's important. They don't even have chalkboards anymore. They have like smart. Joe Patuto, did you have a chalkboard in your later years teaching law?
No.
No, you had a smart board, right?
No, we went to the, the markers and the whiteboards first before we moved to smart boards. Chalkboards have been,
they were gross.
Been out for a long time.
This part, this is fascinating. Why would anyone take Latin, Joe Patuto, back in the day? I mean, I get it. I shouldn't ask you because you're the professor.
Well, it's a derivation of English. It's really helpful with all the languages. that a romance extraordinarily helpful. I think
I-
it's a great background, but you can't use it. I understand. You can't go anywhere and speak Latin.
Yeah, like wouldn't my kid benefit more from taking, like, let's say, Mandarin instead of Latin?
Well, not if he wants to or she wants to learn English well. Where is your child gonna go and speak Mandarin? They're gonna spend a
China?
lot of time in that part of China?
Yeah, I don't know. Monica, what language did you take in high school?
Spanish.
Spanish.
Do you speak Spanish,
Not
Monica?
really. Not
Can
really.
you get by?
Yeah. Donde baño and Monosuke.
Oh, here we go. Monica, what was that case you started on the early 90s in Tampa where you ultimately had the man acquitted?
Michael Mordente.
Oh, yeah, you told me. We did a show on that.
That's right.
You can find it under the video tab. Tim, what language did you study in high school besides lawyering?
I wanted to do Italian, but I ended up doing Spanish.
And can you get by in Spanish better
Yeah,
than Monica?
I can get by in Spanish. I went to Spain.
You know, I should sue these people. I took French from a teacher that didn't speak French. Latin was the other choice. I failed out of physics because I don't think my physics teacher knew physics. So I couldn't become, these are critical times in your life. I want to sue this physics teacher. But the thing that irritates me the most, Joe Patuto, is that they made me, and I've told you this before, I had to memorize the first 14 or 18 verses of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Like, why?
So did I in English lit.
Like, what is the point of that? What is the point of that?
Memorization
Here we
is a
go.
very, very, very important tool for critical thinking. If you can't memorize, if you can't remember, you can't think. Memory is important. We don't do enough of it in schools anymore. Now, it doesn't have to be Chaucer's, it doesn't have to be Canterbury Tales. I'll grant you that.
Right.
But
Right.
God. Hey, Tim, can I file a class action lawsuit against both New Jersey's Department of Education and Brandeis University for
it's
teaching
called
me
sovereign
nothing?
immunity. I'll answer
Sovereign
that one.
immunity. Statute of
Really?
limitations probably is gone.
That's true.
It's about time is dying to know where Tim went to high school.
Who?
It's
Where did I go to high school?
this whole show is just falling off a cliff. but I
In
like it.
Largo, Florida.
Oh,
A school
think
called Pinellas Park High School. I left St. Louis when I was 9 after my father died.
And Monica, where did you go to high school?
I graduated from Leon.
Is that
Oh.
here? You're born and raised in Tallahassee?
No. I moved back the summer before my senior year because I had gotten in a little bit of trouble my junior year. So I did my senior year in Tallahassee, Florida.
You'll
She
tell
was
me
in
that.
trouble. She was in trouble.
You'll tell me that story when we have. Look at this.
I will.
I'm so proud of you, Monica. You turned out so well. All right, make sure that Grady is stretching out his hamstrings, ready for the race. But more importantly,
Okay.
make sure he gets me those Bama tickets. Tim, you're the best. Tim, by the way, spent an early Father's Day with his daughter, and we asked him what he got, and he got. Tim, tell everyone what you got.
I got 2 stainless steel pans for my kitchen.
Nice.
Really nice ones. Really nice. ones.
It's actually beautiful. That's
Yeah,
the
you
show.
called me. I was on the 18th hole, and he begged me to leave to come on the show for some nonsense about Donna being dead.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
that's what
Friday.
you were texting me. I was like, I didn't hear that.
Right. I was in a golf cart.
I didn't
Hey,
hear that.
It's like a badge of honor. I'm texting you.
Yeah.
I texted
I
you,
know.
Monica, to find out.
I did the
what's going on.
show.
Yeah. Your latex spouse says, great panel. I have to agree. Again, Steve Cohen's mom passing yesterday. Give him thought in your prayers. And we will be back tomorrow. We're picking up on the sheriff in Kentucky, Mickey Steins, accused of murdering a judge while it all being filmed and captured. You know, today's world is crazy. Like, this thing was captured on film, but yesterday, one YouTuber shot and killed another YouTuber on the Vegas Strip while on YouTube, while streaming live on YouTube. All happened, all played out on YouTube from a YouTuber. They caught the YouTuber, and he's now charged with 2 counts of murder. So I guess
2. Who else died?
he shot the other YouTuber and the YouTuber's
Oh.
wife and the YouTuber's wife. So what a crazy world that we live in. On that note, Love you, America. Love you. Karma's back in America on American soil, and I'm going to put her to work probably this week and make her do a show. But we'll be back tomorrow with the Diddy updates in the afternoon. And then we're doing the sheriff tomorrow night. And then we've got Donna, 2 separate hearings this week, followed by shows. Thank you to the guests. Thank you to you for being you. Love you, America. And justice for this guy right here, Dan Markel.